AITA for refusing to help my sister after she told everyone I was infertile? I have a sister, Emily. Emily was the golden child. Not because she was particularly talented or hardworking, but because she demanded attention every second of every day. If she wasn't the center of attention, she'd throw a tantrum until she was. And my parents rewarded it every single time. I never competed with Emily. She competed with me. The problem was, she wasn't very good at sticking with anything. She'd get excited because I was doing something, convince our parents to sign her up, then quit the second she realized she wasn't automatically the best. Meanwhile, I'd actually practice. I enjoyed learning. I liked improving. So naturally, I usually did better. And every single time, Emily reacted the same way.
She cried.
She screamed. She accused everyone of loving me more. Then my parents would somehow turn it into my responsibility to make her feel better. It got to the point where I stopped telling my parents when something good happened. There wasn't much point. If I got excited about anything, Emily would find a way to make it about herself. The older we got, the more obvious it became.
By high school, teachers adored me.
Emily?
Well,
she wasn't a bad person back then. Just incredibly lazy. She expected good grades without studying. She expected praise without effort. Whenever she failed a test, it was always the teacher's fault. Whenever someone else got recognition, they were teacher's pet. She never accepted responsibility. And somehow, neither did our parents. Mom would say things like, "Emily just learns differently."
Or,
"Your sister has so much potential." Things really changed once boys entered the picture. I met my first boyfriend. I'll call him Jake. Jake was everything I thought was perfect at the time.
he was funny, kind, got decent grades.
Even now, looking back with adult eyes, I can honestly say he was a genuinely good guy. It was my first relationship, so of course I was excited. At first, Emily acted supportive. She asked questions. Actually thought maybe we'd reached a point where she had grown out of competing with me. I should have known better. One afternoon, Emily came running into the kitchen. "I need to tell you something." Mom immediately became concerned. "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "I saw Jake at the mall yesterday." Mom frowned. "Okay." He wasn't alone. I looked at her. "So, there was another girl." I shrugged. "Probably a friend." Emily shook her head dramatically.
"No."
"They were really close." "What do you mean?" "They were holding hands." I stared at her. "That's a lie." She gasped. "I knew you wouldn't believe me." "Because you're lying." Dad looked between us. "Emily wouldn't make something like that up." I laughed. "Seriously?" Emily's eyes immediately filled with tears. I was just trying to protect her. Within minutes, my parents had convinced themselves she was telling the truth. Mom insisted Jake couldn't come over anymore. Dad said I needed to think carefully about whether this relationship was healthy. I tried explaining. None of it mattered. Emily had cried.
Case closed.
I confronted Jake the next day. He looked completely confused. "The mall?" "I wasn't even there yesterday. I had practice." He even showed me pictures from practice that teammates had posted online. Time-stamped. Exactly when Emily claimed she'd seen him. I knew she had lied. But convincing my parents? Impossible. They refused to admit Emily could fabricate something so serious. Instead, Mom said maybe I was being manipulated. I was furious. Not at Jake. At my parents. Eventually, they gave me an ultimatum. I was still financially dependent on them. I had 1 year left before college. So, officially, I broke up with Jake. Unofficially, we kept seeing each other. For almost a year, we hid our relationship.
It was exhausting.
Jake hated watching me panic every time my phone buzzed. Eventually, he admitted that things couldn't keep going the way they were. Neither of us wanted to end things. But sometimes wanting something isn't enough. To this day, I don't blame Jake. College became my escape. I moved 3 hours away. For the first time in my life, I could breathe without wondering what Emily would turn into a competition. I called home less and less, mostly because every conversation somehow revolved around my sister. I graduated with honors, found a good job, rented my own apartment, Started building a life that had nothing to do with my family. It was the happiest I'd been in years. And then, completely by accident, I met my husband. His name is Daniel. Daniel was calm, patient, independent, confident. He had a successful career, a great sense of humor, and the kind of emotional maturity that made problems feel manageable instead of catastrophic. When I introduced him to my family, Emily immediately became interested.
Not romantically, competitively.
She suddenly cared about where Daniel worked, how much he made, where he'd gone to college, whether he had brothers. It was like she was mentally comparing him to every man she'd ever dated. I ignored it. By then, I had learned that giving Emily attention only encouraged her. Daniel proposed 3 years later.
I said yes.
My parents were thrilled. Emily congratulated us. But there was something in her smile that felt rehearsed. At first, she acted happy. She hugged me. She told me she was excited to be a bridesmaid. But within a week, every conversation somehow became about her. If I mentioned dress shopping, she talked about how she already knew what style looked best on her. If someone congratulated me, she would immediately mention something happening in her own life. I ignored it. After years of dealing with Emily, I had learned that the best way to handle her was not to compete. She wanted a reaction. I refused to give her one. A few months into my wedding planning, Emily suddenly started dating someone. His name was Mark. I met him at a family dinner. He was nice enough, but the timing was interesting. Emily had never cared much about serious relationships before. She had dated casually, but she always found something wrong with every guy. But suddenly, right when I was getting married, she had found the one. My parents were thrilled. They couldn't stop talking about how amazing Mark was. Emily wanted the attention back. And honestly, I let her have it. If she wanted to announce her relationship, fine. If she wanted everyone to discuss her future wedding, fine. I wasn't going to let her ruin mine. Daniel and I got married 6 months later. It was beautiful. It was the happiest day of my life. For once, Emily didn't manage to take over.
She tried.
Of course she did. She complained that her bridesmaid dress wasn't special enough. She asked if she could make a speech. I politely said no. But overall, nothing major happened. A few months later, Emily and Mark got married too.
Well,
almost. Their engagement lasted less than a year. They broke up before the wedding. She called my mother crying. She told everyone Mark wasn't ready for commitment. Whatever the reason, it ended. And Emily did what Emily always did. She immediately moved on. Within a few months, she was dating someone else. I barely paid attention. I was busy building my own life. Daniel and I wanted children. We had always talked about having a family. After we had been married for a year, we decided to start trying. I didn't expect it to happen immediately, but I also didn't expect it to take so long. Month after month passed. Nothing. At first, I stayed positive. Everyone says not to stress.
So I tried not to.
But after a year, it started affecting me. Every pregnancy announcement hurt. Every baby shower invitation made me emotional. I was happy for other people, but I couldn't stop wondering why it wasn't happening for us. Daniel was amazing through all of it. Eventually, we decided we should talk to a doctor. Around that time, Emily announced she was engaged. Again, I found out through my mother. Apparently, she and her boyfriend had been together for several months, and he had proposed. My parents were overjoyed. They immediately started planning another big family celebration. I won't lie, part of me was tired. Still, I went to the engagement party. Because despite everything, she was my sister. I wanted to believe maybe things could be different. Maybe she had matured. Maybe we could finally have a normal relationship. The party was at my parents' house. Everyone was there. Family.
Friends.
Emily was glowing. She loved being the center of attention. I was sitting with relatives when Daniel called me. I stepped outside because it was noisy. He was reminding me about our upcoming doctor's appointment. I told him that I had already called and that the appointment had been moved to next Thursday. I didn't notice anyone nearby. I continued explaining that, although it was stressful, I thought it was better to get checked instead of just guessing. Then I heard a voice. I turned around. Emily was standing there. She looked concerned. Are you guys having trouble having a baby? I immediately felt uncomfortable. She walked closer. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want to. Because it was private. Because it was painful. But I didn't say that. I just said, we've been trying for over a year, and we thought it would be smart to talk to a doctor. Her expression changed. Suddenly, she looked sympathetic. Oh my God.
I'm so sorry.
I nodded. Thanks. I can't imagine how hard that must be. I didn't respond. Then she grabbed my hand. You know you can trust me, right? Something about the way she said it bothered me. But I ignored the feeling.
Yes.
Just please don't tell anyone. She looked offended. Of course I wouldn't. I believed her. That was my mistake. I left the party early because I wasn't feeling great. The next morning, my phone started blowing up. At first, I thought something had happened. Then I saw the messages. My aunt, my cousins, family friends, people I barely talked to. They were sending me things like, I'm sorry you're going through this. Don't lose hope. Everything happens for a reason. I had no idea what they were talking about. Then my cousin called me. She sounded awkward. Hey, I just wanted to check on you. Check on me for what? Emily told everyone. Told everyone what? About you not being able to have kids. I felt sick. I immediately called Emily. She answered casually. Hey. What did you do? What are you talking about? You told everyone. I was just sharing because people care about you. You promised me you wouldn't. I didn't say anything bad. You told people my private medical information. You're overreacting. That sentence made me furious. I'm overreacting? I was trying to get support for you.
No.
You were making my pain another family conversation. She became defensive.
Wow.
I can't believe you're attacking me when I was trying to help. I hung up. Then my parents called. I expected them to apologize. They didn't. My mother said, Emily didn't mean any harm. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mother sighed. You always assume the worst about her. And there it was. The same thing I had heard my entire life. Emily gets an excuse. I get blamed for reacting. I told them I needed space. Then I stopped talking to Emily. I just needed distance. But apparently, that was unacceptable. My family accused me of punishing Emily. They said I was being dramatic. They said sisters fight. But this wasn't a fight. This was a deliberate choice. She took something I was struggling with privately and turned it into entertainment. Months passed. After the appointments and tests, the doctor told us that our reports looked normal. It should have been a relief, and in some ways it was. But it was also frustrating. The doctor suggested that we keep trying and give it more time. We were still hoping things would happen naturally. I focused on myself. Then Emily contacted me. Not to apologize. Not to admit she was wrong. She wanted something. Her fiancé had lost his job. Wedding costs were becoming a problem. My parents had already helped as much as they could. And apparently, because Daniel and I were doing financially well, we were expected to step in. Emily called me. I need your help. I already knew where this was going. With what? The wedding. I waited. We're short on money. Okay. I was hoping you could contribute. I laughed. You want me to pay for your wedding? Why are you making it sound bad? Emily, you haven't apologized for what you did. I said I was sorry if you were hurt. That wasn't an apology. She became quiet. You would really let your sister struggle? I thought about all the years. The lies, the competition, the favoritism, the way she turned my private pain into family gossip. And I said, yes. She called me selfish. My parents agreed. They said family should help family. They said I was holding a grudge. They said I was punishing Emily for one mistake. But I don't think it was one mistake. I think it was a pattern. And now everyone is telling me I am the bad person for refusing to help her.
So?
AITA for refusing to help my sister after she told everyone I was infertile? Update. After I refused to help pay for Emily's wedding, I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The pressure started almost immediately. My mom called first. She didn't even start with an apology. She started with guilt. Don't you think family should help each other? I knew exactly what she was trying to do. Before, I would have tried to explain. Not anymore. I simply said,
No.
She went quiet. What do you mean, no? I mean, no. I'm not helping. But she's your sister. Yes. Your own sister. Yes. How can you do this to family? I just answered. I can do it because she deserves it. My mother was silent. What does that mean? It means she made a choice. She chose to tell people something private about me after I specifically asked her not to. Now she can deal with the consequences of her own choices. She told me I was being cruel. I told her I disagreed. Then I ended the call. After that, everyone started getting involved. One cousin messaged me saying, You can't really abandon your sister over one mistake. I replied, I didn't abandon her over one mistake. I stepped away because she showed me exactly how little she respects me.
People were shocked.
They weren't used to me answering honestly. For years, they knew me as the reasonable one, the forgiving one, the one who would eventually give in. They didn't know what to do when I stopped playing that role. At one point, my mother said, After everything we've done for you, you're really going to choose this? I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was unbelievable. I am not choosing this. I am choosing myself. She said I was being dramatic.
I said,
Maybe. But I'm done being the person everyone expects to sacrifice because Emily can't handle consequences. Eventually, my parents and Emily decided they needed to talk to me in person. They came to my house without warning. I let them inside because despite everything, part of me still wanted closure. They sat in my living room. The conversation started exactly how I expected. They told me I was taking things too far. They told me Emily was sorry. They told me weddings were stressful. They told me family needed forgiveness. I listened. Then I said, I am not helping pay for the wedding. My father sighed. You're still on this? Yes. Emily looked at me. I can't believe you're doing this. I stared at her. You can't believe I'm refusing to fix a problem you created? She rolled her eyes. I made one mistake.
No.
You broke my trust. I was trying to help. You were trying to get attention. She immediately became angry. You always think everything is about me. I almost laughed, because that sentence coming from her was almost impressive. Then she said something I will never forget. Maybe she was angry. Maybe she wanted to hurt me. But she said, Maybe this is karma. The room went quiet. I looked at her. She continued, Maybe the reason you're so insensitive is because life is teaching you a lesson. Maybe that's why you're infertile. I don't remember deciding to move. I just remember standing up. And I slapped her.
Hard.
The entire room froze. My mother gasped. My father stood up immediately. What is wrong with you? I didn't answer. Emily was holding her face, completely shocked. Then I slapped her again. My father shouted. My mother started crying. But I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I was done. I pointed toward the door. Get out, my mother said. After what you just did? I looked at all three of them. You came into my home to convince me to give money to someone who destroyed my trust. Then she used the most painful thing in my life against me. Nobody spoke. I opened the door. Get out. My father said I would regret this. Before they left, I said, and don't contact me again. After that, I truly cut them off. A few months later, I found out I was pregnant. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. But I didn't tell my family. I didn't want my child being used as a reason for everyone to force their way back into my life. So we kept it private. Meanwhile, the wedding situation continued. Emily's wedding was eventually reduced. The venue was changed. The guest list became smaller. Things were cut from the budget. People kept telling me,
See?
She needed your help. I didn't respond. Eventually, someone found out about my pregnancy. I don't even know exactly who. But somehow the news reached my parents. Their reaction changed instantly. The same people who had defended Emily suddenly wanted to reconnect. Suddenly they missed me. Suddenly they wanted to know how I was feeling. But they couldn't contact me directly, because I had blocked them. So they tried through relatives. I ignored all of it. Then one day they came to my house. I didn't open the door. I stayed inside. Because I remembered what happened the last time I opened my door. They tried until my baby was born.
They sent gifts.
They sent messages. They asked relatives to convince me. I refused. After my child was born, they tried again. Eventually, they stopped. Life became peaceful. I have my husband. I have my child. I have a home where nobody competes for attention. Nobody uses my pain against me. Nobody tells me my feelings matter less because someone else is upset.